Listen, they say some historians were forbidden to study these finds because they didn't want them to rewrite human history. Let's check it out.
There is an ancient legend that is recorded from a very, very old text called the Sefer Temunah, the Book of the Image. The legend tells us that a cave called Machpelah is the doorway to the Garden of Eden, which exists in inner earth.
One possibility is that the story of the Garden of Eden symbolizes the Jerusalem temple.
We see a pattern that we end up seeing also in the first couple chapters of the book of Genesis.
Reportings of rivers turning red, ancient discoveries from dried up riverbeds, and prehistoric remains indicate signs of ending times. Many believe this is all linked to the disappearance of the Garden of Eden. Here are a few terrifying findings that will have you up at night.
Hastic Castle was carved into the mountains along the Euphrates River. It became submerged in water in 1974.
Droughts in Turkey affected the lives of the population drastically, but it also revealed a hidden treasure from the past. This elusive structure was revealed to the world named Hastic Castle. It was carved into the giant stone and contained dozens of rooms connected by small balconies that were big enough for a person to crawl through them.
Even if you don't connect this to something biblical, the fact that the water level is dropped that significant should still alarm you. Don't you think? I would still be alarmed.
Tourists and even historians took this opportunity to travel back in time to the Eurasian period.
The castle can only be reached by boat, but historians and tourists are jumping at the chance to get a look at this elusive structure.
When this impressive structure was built. But it was not just for show. The Hastic Castle has more strategic reasons. These holes were used to monitor any threats in the area, trading with the outer world, and better communications. Findings like these show how advanced these civilizations were in terms of architecture and strategies. Gilgamesh. In 2002, this bizarre tomb was found by a group of explorers who were searching through the arid lands of Iran. It contained the body of a Sumerian Gilgamesh, who was so well preserved that it almost felt like he would wake up at any moment and start talking to the people around him.
That's not the actual body though, right? That's gotta be what they did or what they created him to look like based upon what they found. You know what I mean? It gotta be, because this is just, I would find it hard to believe that this is the actual body that they found.
Although the authenticity of this video is still debated, many believe that this was an actual discovery that could revolutionize what we know of the ancient world. A similar discovery was made in Iran by a group of European researchers, and they were intrigued to find ancient giants seemingly hibernating in the area. According to mythology, these creatures used to roam the earth millions of years ago. Some rumors suggested that the giants had glowing eyes and were even ready to return to the world. These findings were sent to the laboratories for carbon dating, but the results and further research were kept under wraps, further deepening the mystery of this find. Noah's Ark. For centuries, historians have been obsessed with the idea of finding Noah's lost Ark. Their hopes of finally coming across this historical piece were reignited when they finally found traces, indicating its presence in Mount Ararat. According to the stories mentioned in religious scriptures, Noah built the humongous ark to save himself, his family, and a pair of every kind of animal from an incoming catastrophe. After estimating its location from hints in these books, it is believed to be resting somewhere in the Ararat mountain.
I try to put myself in Noah's shoes sometimes. Imagine being tasked with the job to do that. Round up those who I think, or those who he was told to get, along with the animals, to save them as well. Like, imagine that daunting task. Yeah, it had to be Noah.
This whole rock formation had the most undeniable resemblance to a giant boat ship resting in the same area, and it captured the attention of several curious researchers. Over 100 scientists from different parts of the world gathered around here to study and possibly find traces to confirm the existence of this marvel. End of times. Looks like the prophecy about the river turning red at the end is actually coming true. People were shivering in dread and fear when they heard the news about different rivers turning red, and they were even convinced about getting ready for the great catastrophe. Several reports about water bodies of Russia and Indiana taking up the unusual red hues were enough to make conspiracy theorists start their bandwagon. But was this really the case? According to experts, there was a logical explanation for each sighting. The rivers in Russia faced a boom in the species of a shrimp and algae that gave it the vibrant color. And the red waters in Indiana were a result of people from a factory performing a simple experiment. It doesn't sound very creepy now, does it? Ark of the Covenant. Archaeologists from Jerusalem could not believe their eyes as they pulled.
Can't even lie, it looked like it a little bit, don't you? For those of us who know what we're looking for, it kind of looks like it, right?
Pulled out this giant box that surprisingly matched the descriptions of the Ark of the Covenant. According to the religious scriptures, the Ark has 2 angels on top of it, and it contains the 10 commandments that God sent down to Moses and his people engraved on tablets. But many people were not ready to accept this as the Ark of the Covenant. According to the true believers, anyone who would touch it would face instant demise. And they even pointed out that this could be the grave of a very wealthy person from ancient times. Whatever the case was, these explorers took their findings for further examination, hoping to uncover the truth behind their amazing discovery. Gilgamesh Tablet. It was a time of reclaiming their history for Iraq when they finally got the Tablet of Gilgamesh back in their country. Although it looks like a simple piece of clay, this is one of the most priceless artifacts out there. According to experts, it has thousands of years of old literature written on it, and it acts as a window to look 1,000 years in the past. The tablet had been stolen from Iraqi museums in the 1990s, and it had been sold to a church with fake documentation. Luckily, in 2019, the tablet was presented in an auction in the United States.
How can we be so sure that's what it is? Because I don't see any. I mean, I don't know how they wrote back then anyway, but that could be a back scratcher for all we know that they used and attached to something else. You know what I mean? Not trying to disrespect it, but I'm just saying, how do we know?
The UN's cultural organization got the tablet and returned it to Iraq. Caves and tunnels. Euphrates has been a prominent water body in the Middle East due to its religious importance, and recently the river is becoming more famous than ever. The locals and historians have found underground caves and strange tunnels around the river. These bizarre holes you see in the walls are actually a series of tunnels, and apparently they lead to a cave underneath. And the thing that has left everyone scratching their heads is that no one knows what these were built for. Some think they were made to protect the region from attackers, while other theories suggest that unearthly creatures are trapped in the cave. Tomb on River. Seeing this clip, you must be confused, thinking if this is a part of some ruin floating or something else. Well, this is an archaeological site in Karachi, Pakistan, and I bet this one will surely leave you baffled. This structure, built back in the 15th century in the Kinjar Lake, is actually a tomb of a woman named Nori Jam Tamachi, a fisherwoman. Easily accessible by a boat, this monument was built by the prince of the region in the loving memory of his wife. And the fact that he intentionally built in a place surrounded by miles upon miles of water, as his wife spent most of her time in water, makes the site famous among locals and tourists who visit. Fishy arrival. This video from Sindh, Pakistan had almost everyone wondering what was wrong with our world. Some locals recorded a video of a whole river of fish that appeared in the dry, hot desert out of nowhere. Normally, as far as I know, fish cannot survive outside of water. So how are these little ones flapping in the arid area? While many viewers started this sign of an upcoming apocalypse, others were estimating that the fish were being carried in a container that flipped over and brought them all in the scorching sand.
I wonder if this is like the worms. It was a type of worm species that we had saw that did something similar to this, and it made them look like a snake. And they did this to kind of, you know what I mean, ward off predators, make it look like a bigger animal, a snake or something like that, as a defense mechanism. I wonder if this is the case for these fish.
Still, no one has been able to exactly find out where these fish came from, indicating the possibility of apocalyptic signs. Black gold. The grounds of Deir al-Zor were filled with rivers of black gold, and the people of the area just gathered around to capture the whole scene on their cameras. Once they shared the video online, viewers had mixed reviews on their discovery. Some were skeptical, thinking how this much oil got spewed out from the ground, while others were calling this a major jackpot for the men who found the area at the right time. I mean, just look at the speed of this oil literally boiling out from the desert's surface. It even created a whole river in just minutes.
Jeez.
I bet the American government is trying to track down their location at the moment. Buddhist statues. When the Yangtze River in China dipped to its lowest in 150 years, the strangest sight appeared: a Buddha statue. The structure was believed to be about 600 years old, submerged underwater for years, and made the unannounced appearance after a severe drought. Locals and tourists alike were excited to visit and the once-in-a-lifetime sight for themselves. Where decreasing water levels raised climate change concerns, these sites offer insights into China's rich cultural heritage and historical importance. Sandfall. Locals and online viewers were amazed to witness sand falls in the deserts, and it had to be the most spectacular yet creepy sight one could see. While waterfalls are mostly observed throughout the world, this one was a rather peculiar sight. But don't worry, despite some claims from people about this being sand falls, it was rather a mix of water and loads of sand that had created this amazing scene. It's still kind of otherworldly to think that our deserts have this much water in them. Sand River. Residents in Iraq got super excited to see a river flowing through the desert after ages, and it made them rush to the scene to capture the whole ordeal on their cameras. One of them even picked the material up to check what a flowing river in a desert would feel like. But despite the ordinary rivers made of water, this one was made of hail, sand, and a bit of water. An unusual mix for a desert, isn't it? Well, as bizarre as it sounds, such sightings are possible when deserts receive some hailing, which in turn mixes with the sand and creates this unusually satisfying phenomena. 2,000-year-old crocodile. The excavation project in Kubat al-Hawa in Egypt revealed a stunning sight for the workers and especially reptile enthusiasts. A bunch of mummified crocodile remains were discovered and were believed to be over 2,000 years old. Workers noticed that the animals were very well preserved with their snouts and teeth intact. The discovery provided insights into how ancient Egyptians treated animals and their burial places. Disappearing river.
I don't know, man. Just like a snake. I think the snake is like the devil. You know what I mean? The crocodiles too, man. Like you just, they knew what they were doing though. They probably knew how to handle them. Just like it's a few people out here in today's times that really know what they're doing when it comes to crocodiles and alligators and stuff like that. So they probably had their few, but still in all, man, I I don't see the gain in going close to an alligator. And they had their reasonings for burying them and mummifying them and doing things like that. But I just look at a alligator or a crocodile and I'm like, no, stay away.
A group of tourists shared this video of a river that was flowing perfectly fine from above, but abruptly vanished from the area without any apparent reason. It almost looked like this was some sort of wizardry. While many were pointing out that this was some sort of a miracle, the reality was more related to the facts and simple science. The water was flowing down through the tiny rocks here, and it had divided into several smaller streams, only to reunite later at some point and make a river again. See? It was just Mother Nature at play here. Mud pool. Water springing out of the deserts? This has to be signs of ending times. Some locals living in these barren areas shared the video of whole rivers bursting out of the sand surface, and it had them questioning everything they knew about the world. Just look how it's boiling out from here, like there was some sort of a demon living underground. The thing is, there is a possibility that there was a water pipeline present under here, and it had burst due to some reason, spewing out all of this water.
Or, I mean, it could be that. Or our planet is truly, truly upset with us, mad at us, furious. And it's showing it and putting it on display. It's tired of us destroying it and damaging it, and it's responding back, and you see what is happening.
Now, that doesn't sound like an apocalyptic situation, does it? Oil river. Whoever found this site is definitely going to get rich or taken over by the Americans. A group of tourists noticed oil bubbling out of the sand surface, and it had them seeing all sorts of dreams that they could never fulfill. But this was not the only time people found oil in the desert. On another occasion, a lucky group of people literally witnessed streams of oil flowing down the sand dunes. These men were looking for water to drink in the scorching heat, but nature brought them a tiny river of oil. Well, I know the deserts are rich with it, but these people had most likely hit an oil pipeline that had burst open and was spewing out these riches of earth. They better collect maximum amounts of it. Bubbling sand. Just imagine how hot it had to be for sand to start bubbling like this. Residents in Gaza could not believe their eyes when they saw the sand boiling right in front of them. Some of the eyewitnesses were blaming the hot weather for this eerie phenomena, while
And I walk around on sand barefoot. Could you imagine?
others were thinking that these were signs for ending times. Well, all of these overwhelming responses had one simple answer. It was most likely the air trapped between the sand particles underground, and it was escaping to the surface and creating this horrific scene. Ancient Iraqi palace. In the arid landscape of Iraq, as the waters of the Mosul Dam reservoir receded, a stunning discovery of a 3,600-year-old palace emerged. Once overlooking the mighty Tigris River, this ancient structure belonged to the Mitanni Empire. Researchers unearthed mud brick walls over 6 feet thick and traces of vivid red and blue wall paintings, a rare glimpse into the artistry of the time. According to the experts, the palace might be the ancient city of Zakaku because of the 10 cuneiform tablets identified in the area. These tablets promise to reveal secrets of the Mitanni's politics, economy, and history. As the waters rise again, this remarkable find is a reminder of many rich stories of our ancient past waiting to be discovered. Winged sculpture. An excavation team managed to get their hands on a 2,700-year-old sculpture preserved in a surprisingly fit condition. The team was searching the area of Khorisbad when they came across this masterpiece. Even the experts were shocked at how this 18-ton sculpture managed to stay in one piece and face minimal deterioration over the years. Even the intricate details on its wings were still clearly visible.
Right.
With proper care and master work, the teams were able to bring this masterpiece to the surface. Ancient Iraqi city. Archaeologists working on a site in Iraq made a groundbreaking discovery when they found the city of Nineveh. Contrary to previous beliefs, that city was pretty empty or used as gardens and orchards, but it turned out to be densely packed with buildings, roads, and streets. It also had numerous structures, including houses and workshops. The ancient city is now surrounded by modern East Mosul, and the team thought it was crucial to promote the site as a cultural, historical, and tourist asset to ensure its preservation. Archaeological haven. It's like Iraq is the archaeological haven with all the amazing discoveries. A team of American and Iraqi archaeologists has made a stunning discovery at the Mashki Gate in Mosul, northern Iraq, uncovering 8 ancient marble reliefs. These artworks dated back to about 2,700 years and featured winged men and armed warriors. This gate originally served as a grand entrance to Nineveh, showing the city's historical significance as the Assyrian Empire's capital. In addition to that, the team also discovered over 120 clay tablets, providing a wealth of information about Assyrian language and literature. Now, the authorities are planning to transform the Mashki Gate site into an educational center, hoping to share the rich history of Nineveh and the Assyrian Empire with the world. Gold stash. An excavation was carried out at Banas, within the Hermon River Nature Reserve by the Israel Antiquities Authority. The workers were shocked to find an entire hoard of 44 gold coins from the Byzantine times. The coins date from the reigns of Emperors Phocas and Hercules, with the latest coins minted around the time of the Muslim conquest in 635 CE. The coins featured pictures of the emperor and his sons. The hoard was concealed in a wall, probably during a time of
That made me think of that clip from Coming to America. If y'all seen the movie where he's got his own money. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big deal. You and your son face on a coin. Yeah, you're definitely somebody, and that's a big deal.
conflict and never retrieved. This discovery provided insights into the economy of the region. Banas has been historically significant, as it was a religious and strategic site through various periods, including Roman, Byzantine, and Crusader eras. The object. In 1974, workers in Romania were working at the village of Aoud, near the river Moris. At a depth of 30 feet of sand, they stumbled upon an object that would turn out to be the biggest mystery to modern historians. Lying among two mastodon bones was this strange aluminum wedge. Even after decades of analyzing, testing, and researching, the wedge has managed to stump everyone, with no one being able to tell its purpose, why it was made, or even how old it was. The thing that made its origin all the more mysterious was that it was covered in patina, a bronze layer formed after hundreds or even thousands of years. But the wedge was made of modern aluminum that couldn't have existed back then. The museum has kept it hidden in a safe box, as they have no explanation for the object. Dinosaur tracks. Droughts have revealed many artifacts worldwide, but a recent discovery in Texas' Biloxi riverbed stunned the internet. Dinosaur Valley State Park unveiled 100-million-year-old dinosaur footprints stretching over 300 yards. These imprints belong to Sarah Poseidon, a 60-foot-tall, about 100,000-pound dinosaur. While the drought was troublesome for many, it allowed scientists to map the world's longest dinosaur trackways for the first time. However, with risks of erosion and future floods, preserving these tracks has become crucial. Here's another novel discovery from Texas, when this guy's exploration trip took an unexpected turn, and he found massive footprints. He compared their size to his own foot, showing just how enormous they were. These weren't ordinary footprints. Complete with 5 toes, they were found surrounded by dinosaur tracks. And this bit of information sparked online frenzy, with some dismissing the find, claiming no humanoid giants existed during dinosaur times, while others called for expert verification. So far, there has been no official confirmation of the discovery. 12 millennia old grave. Working in the Santa Tecla Cave in Israel, this team of archaeologists made a discovery of a lifetime when they found a super old grave. The grave, dating back to around 12,000 years, belonged to a woman. But there was an eerie side to the discovery. The woman in the grave was surrounded by some really strange stuff, like pieces of chalk, a leopard's bone, and even parts of a wild boar and an eagle. No one knew why there was chalk and animal remains near the grave, leaving the discovery an unsolved mystery. Cave of Horror. A group of archaeologists exploring the Cave of Horrors in Israel came across a very strange discovery. They found ancient biblical scroll fragments, primarily written in Greek, with the name of God appearing in Hebrew. The discovery was considered significant when they found that it likely dated back to the centuries around the birth of Christ. The fragments contained many important verses and prophecies. It became even more important as it was the first biblical fragments found in an archaeological excavation in over 60 years, and then later it was directly transferred to a laboratory for further research. Dino bones.
Like puzzle.
A 12-year-old boy from Calgary made global headlines, and for a good reason. While hiking with his father near Drumheller, he found a bunch of bones on a ridge at the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Finding them a bit strange, they told the local museum about their discovery, and after a little analyzing, they found that the bone belonged to a duck-billed dinosaur. Can you imagine unexpectedly finding a dinosaur bone? The young boy was over the moon about his discovery, and the bone proved to be a great find, as it helped paleontologists fill in a gap in knowledge about.
Is that 3 eyes up there? Or is that 2 eyes and something? I don't know. It was throwing me off. So when they said dinosaur, I was thinking they was about to say alien, because I couldn't really tell if this thing had 3 eyes or not. Those holes looked like they were in the area where the eyes would be, and it was 3 of them. So I was a little confused.
Dinosaurs from that area and time period. Centuries-old shipwreck.
Mississippi River has revealed a watery secret, a shipwreck.
A drought in the Mississippi River uncovered an ancient shipwreck that's been hidden for over a century in Baton Rouge. The wreck is thought to be the Brook Hill Ferry, which sank during a storm in 1915. With almost all of its structure out of the water on the shore, it was like a free trip through the past. Locals and visitors from all over the world were able to see and touch the old shipwreck, bringing history to life in a unique way. The river will eventually cover the wreck again, but for now, it offered an interesting glimpse into the past.
The ruins belong to the Brook Hill Ferry, which sank in a storm in 1915.
Atom footprint. Now, let's take a trip to the very start of humanity, a place where it all started. In Sri Lanka, a mountain named Sri Padi, or Adam Peaks, is known for being the place where Adam and Eve descended on Earth for the very first time.
Whoa.
And there is supposedly a huge footprint on the rocks that is believed to be Adam's footprint. Due to its religious importance, hundreds of locals and tourists visit daily. Although they aren't allowed to film the actual footprint itself, people are allowed to go in and see with their own eyes. 5,000-year-old boat.
I'm still stuck on that, though. I've never once heard of Adam being a giant or his foot being big or any of that type of stuff like that. Not saying it isn't true or anything. I'm just saying I've never heard of that theory. So that's a new and interesting one for me.
Egypt is pretty famous for its ancient history and rich culture. So this team of archaeologists was very excited for an incredible discovery. While digging in Cairo on the bank of River Nile, they excavated an ancient wooden boat buried for nearly 5,000 years next to Pharaoh Khufu's Great Pyramid. Due to the wood's fragile condition, it almost took a week to recover a single plank. The boat is the second of a pair, with the first one excavated in 1954 and now housed in a museum at Giza. Interestingly, both boats were dismantled and buried with instructions for reassembly. That's because ancient Egyptians believed these boats would transport the pharaoh's spirits to the heavens and the afterlife. Now, experts are aiming to reconstruct the boat piece by piece. Whale in swamp. In the murky depths of a Virginia swamp, a team of intrepid explorers made a remarkable discovery when they found the fossilized remains of an ancient baleen whale dating back a staggering 4.5 to 5.5 million years. Amidst the rush of water, they spotted whale bones and shark teeth peeking out. You might be wondering how a whale ended up here. Well, these were from the times when the eastern United States was submerged beneath the waves. After a critical mission of extracting hundreds of pounds of skull from a fast-paced river, these men finally possessed an ancient relic in their hands, which belonged to a majestic creature from millions of years ago.
We were able to pull up a 5 million year old skull. This is a baleen whale skull. It's very, very large.
Unicorn skull. If you've always wondered whether unicorns ever existed in real life, here are some traces that people found while digging. At first, it seemed like an ordinary skull of an ancient animal. But just as the man further cleaned the area, he found out that it had a giant horn on its end. Now that creepily looks like a unicorn. And that was not all. Another person shared his video of digging and finding a skull with a long horn on its end. Although we have the image of unicorns in our mind as majestic white animals, this is what the Siberian unicorn looked like. It was similar to a giant rhino rather than a horse.
And that makes a lot more sense.
Long hair and grumpy looks, these are not the ones we expected. But the reality is not always as glorified as we expect it to be. Ancient armadillo. In 2019, some fishermen went to a lake in Argentina to bring back some dinner, but they found something far more interesting. During their time in the area, they came across a giant rock-like structure poking out from the mud. When they dug it out a little, it was revealed to be the perfectly preserved fossil of an armadillo. It still had its patterns and was present in its complete form. Well, even if they didn't find what they were looking for, they definitely were amazed at the armadillos. Treasure sand.
6 times I've been here. We're doing another gold split because I'm on my friend's claim again.
The sand of the riverbeds around the world is filled with undiscovered treasures. Take a look at what these guys found while exploring the rivers. Equipped with a sieve, they filled it up with sand and then put it through water. And now see them hit the jackpot. Pieces, flakes, and bits of gold ended up on their plate. It might not seem much at first, but an entire day of digging through the sand and sieving might just leave you with this load of gold.
Go ahead, Mitch.
251.9.
Yeah.
Now, it's time for today's open discussion. The disappearance of the Garden of Eden is something that has kept the minds of scholars and the general public occupied for a long time. So let's take a brief overview of what the Bible has to say about it. When describing the location of the Garden of Eden, it basically mentions 4 rivers: Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates, suggesting that finding where these rivers meet could reveal the garden's location. Now we know where the river Tigris and Euphrates are on Earth, but Pishon and Gihon are like imaginary water bodies. But not anymore, because it seems this guy has found the point where the Gihon flows, an underground spring in the city of David that appear to be protected underground cave systems and forts built outside, taking it as one step closer to the location. Finding the actual garden doesn't seem too far-fetched.